This is where the fun begins.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Say my name.
And here we go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Realish. That's two episodes in like consecutive weeks. Like I think we're doing good, bro. It's a new season, season 4 of Realish, and we're back. I'm Derrick.
And I'm Matthew.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to see you, bro.
No, good to see you too. Yeah, I think we hit a record here.
Yeah. I think Eric, you're gonna see some people popping in and out throughout the course of the season, just to join us and talk about some films and shows. But it's we're gonna keep doing our thing, and we appreciate you guys for supporting us along the way. It's been a long journey, but we appreciate it. And so yeah, man. What have you been watching?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been watching Better Call Saul.
Okay.
So I watched all 5 seasons, have yet to see the final one.
Okay.
And I can say in full confidence that it is one of, if not the best TV shows I've ever watched.
Wow.
And in saying that, I also think that it is fundamentally better than Breaking Bad.
I was about to ask you that, but I didn't think you were gonna go there.
Yeah.
Better than Breaking Bad.
Yep. I can elaborate if you want. Obviously, those are
because I still haven't watched it. But I watched Breaking Bad twice. The series, like the whole series, twice. 2 or 3 times actually. And I love every aspect of that show. So if Better Call Saul is better than that, I'm gonna have to check it. I'm gonna just have to break down and watch it, because that's high praise.
Yeah, and I think for me, what I respect so much about the show is it was given the most difficult task of any spin-off related show, or a prequel spin-off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, how do you make a compelling story with characters whose face you already know?
Right.
And obviously I don't want to give away any major spoilers, nor anything I say can possibly convey its brilliance, but the show is obviously like this exploration of identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
How one's soul is without love, how someone becomes the worst possible version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it chronicles Jimmy McGill's transformation into the goofy side character Saul Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just mind-boggling to me that someone like Saul, who, like I said before, was one-dimensional, was simply comedic relief, became one of the most well-rounded and sophisticated characters I've ever seen in television, is astonishing to me.
We've got to rank our television shows, bro. Because that's a lot. There's a lot of really good shows that you're putting that up in high ranks with.
Oh yeah. I think just from an acting standpoint, a cinematography standpoint, a directing standpoint, I think those aspects are fundamentally better than Breaking Bad, because Vince Gilligan and company gained so much experience from their efforts on the series, as you would anything, right? I have so much appreciation for what I've watched thus far, and one of these days I'm probably just gonna have to get AMC Plus and watch the 6th season, or if any news comes out of season 6 dropping on Netflix sometime soon, I'll check it out there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I do know the ending. That was spoiled for me. But what I will say is just about it's as satisfying as an end to a character like Saul Goodman. I'll leave it like that. Yeah, I mean, I honestly like I think like great music choices, great editing, strong camera work. Like I don't know, it's sort of one of those words you can't really like wrap your brain around
Yeah,
because it's so damn good.
yeah, yeah.
On every level. And season one and season one is the weakest season. Season two starts to pick up, but then season three is when the show really sort of bridges the gap between both shows.
Mm,
So first seasons definitely require a lot of patience, but the finale of the season three um really makes you put into perspective everything you've watched prior. And
okay.
I think in doing so, makes you develop an appreciation for what they were setting up.
Yeah,
Because this is a very dialogue heavy show.
yeah.
If you're expecting high octane action, if you're expecting, graphic violence or excessive language, then you'll be disappointed. I mean,
Mm,
I think to this point in the show, there have been 10 or less f bombs to my count,
okay, okay.
and yet the show still finds a way to be intense, uh, to be intimate, to be memorable.
Yeah,
The greatest television shows are exactly that, and yeah. So, like I said, I know it's high praise. It's sort of a lot to
yeah,
take in because I know you're a huge Breaking Bad fanatic, and
yeah,
like you've watched the show 3 times at this point. So, yeah, if you can't tell already, watch the show. And
yeah.
I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on my quick little analysis over here.
That's it's interesting because especially when you're talking about the undertaking of establishing a story for a character that is already established in a series, right?
Yeah,
Like the show one of the shows I got into well actually finished up this past week was Raising Kanan, second season. And of course that's the spin-off of the original Power, right? 50 Cent's series. And does the same thing, you know. It's telling the story of Kanan, which is one of the main characters in Power, um telling his story of his upbringing and all this other stuff. And actually got my girlfriend Mariah, I just got her into watching Raising Kanan because she wanted to get into Power, but she was like, she didn't know where to start. I was like, you can actually start the prequel, and you're not gonna ruin anything for yourself for getting into Power. Um, but I feel like it does the same thing, like you're talking about. Like it's setting up a great story for established characters already, and doing a phenomenal job with it. I actually think Raising Kanan is the best of the Power universe. Um, and that's saying a lot because I mean the guy who plays 50 Cent's character, Kanan, as a kid, this is his first you know gig, honestly. So for him to step in and do this and play it phenomenally is just it's crazy. So I mean I feel like that same thing with House of the Dragon, right? Like that's a prequel series,
yeah,
and that's doing better than Game of Thrones, honestly.
I'd be inclined to agree. Yeah,
It's doing better than the Game of Thrones in my opinion. So I don't know. Maybe it's something about doing a prequel after the established story that allows you to do other things you may have wanted to do, or maybe it's you just have more freedom to do things that you weren't able to do in the original series, right? Like um that was one of the things I wanted to see with Sons of Anarchy. I wanted to see the prequel series for that. I wanted to see how the Sons formed, right? Like I wanted to see all of that. And that story I think was set in like the 70s. So I wanted to see that. I still hope we get that, either we get that as a series or as a movie. Um but I don't know. I'm actually starting to like these prequels more than I thought I would, you know. So I'm gonna check Better Call Saul out because now you're giving me reason to actually do it. I wasn't
yeah,
beforehand. I was like, I'm not really hyped to watch it because
I was
Of
the
course,
same way.
I started it when it first came out. I was watching it live, and I was just like, yeah, this ain't it. Like
Yeah,
4 episodes in, I was like, I just can't do it because it doesn't compare to the original, right?
seems aimless at first. Yeah.
It does. So all right, but I'll definitely get into it because I know that we get to see a lot expounded upon with Gus Fring, and that's my character right there. Like,
So I can tell you, Gus Fring actually does not have a ton of screen time, and yet
get the hell out. Are you serious?
his presence is still felt.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't.
That was one reason why I was kind of looking forward to getting into it. I love him.
That's what. So that was my main original motivation too. Back. Oh God, I mean, this show came out 2015, so you're looking at
Yeah.
2017 when Gus, because Gus Fring. Are you fine if I tell you when he comes in?
I know it was like 3 seasons in or something like
Okay,
that. Three,
yeah.
four
So three
seasons in.
seasons, yeah. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
2017 or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
shoot, I may hop back in the show. Never did, but that's my biggest regret. Yeah, no, I totally understand. And
Yeah.
you sort of reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you for a while now, and that
Mhm.
was, do you think is more difficult to make a prequel or a sequel?
Sequel. I think it's harder to make a sequel because a prequel you can explain certain holes that you didn't get to explain in the original series. Um, that might explain certain actions or different avenues that the story took, right? Like you could do that with a prequel and kind of like make that up as you go. With a sequel, you're kind of competing against the success of the first film, right? Like it's one of those things because I know there's a lot of people that feel certain ways about like Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. I thought both films did a phenomenal job in telling the completion of the story. Um, it's just like
Resurrections too.
Resurrections because that movie can go to hell.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see that again. Ever. Ever.
greatest
I
greatest Matrix movie of all time, bro.
I will never ever consider that canon. All right. But Godfather 2 and 3 similar was like, trying to compete with the success of the first one and
Yeah,
a lot of people feel a way about the third film, which I actually don't. I thought maybe I'm just weird. I actually thought all 3 films held up very well individually. Um which I think it really should be the focus of the filmmaker when making a sequel. Not so much focused on like how do we hit success wise with this film
sure.
to do better than the first one. It's how do we continue to tell the story to where it makes sense to put this out,
Yeah,
which is why
yeah,
like it might sound crazy, but the Toy Story series, right? When Toy Story 2 came out, I was excited. I was a kid. But Toy Story 3 came out, I was like, what are we doing here? Then I watched it. I'm like, okay. Toy Story 4 came out. I was kind of apprehensive, but I was like, you know what? Let's see. And they all hold up, right? But I don't think they top the first one, but they hold up in their own way. And I don't
yeah,
think you need to compete with the first. If you're telling a complete story in that film, to me, you're good.
yeah,
I think you actually accomplish your goal when you just make a complete film that stands on its own as a sequel. What you
sure.
don't want to see is a sequel come out and then it's like it's a flop, right?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
want to see that. We've seen plenty of examples of that, right? So I don't know because like I'm kind of wondering like how Creed 3 is going to be. I actually think that's going to be the best of the Creed series.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be another great movie. It reminds me of like I always think of this comparison. It reminds me of like I call it the Karate Kid 3 syndrome,
Mhm.
where you have a story that should have been the second film instead of
Yeah,
the third one.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think something tells it. I could be wrong, right? Obviously, I'll
yeah.
wait. I'm gonna watch it because I mean I am a bit disappointed because Ludwig Göransson isn't coming back to compose the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who they're gonna direct because Creed 1 and 2 has some. He, he's making the best scores, period.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Any project that doesn't have him, because I don't want to say becomes worse, but doesn't become as special. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, mind you, Michael B.
From a
Jordan's so
soundtrack.
attached from a soundtrack
Yeah,
perspective,
yeah, yeah.
and everything. But all that being said, I just feel like the story of Damon could have easily been this told in the second story, and then that the second story should have been the third movie, where we actually see Michael B.
Yeah,
Jordan confront his father's killer. Now,
yeah.
maybe they can actually like explain why this was the right story to tell at this particular point.
Mm-hmm.
And to compare it, like like Karate Kid, terrible. I'm not. By the way,
Yeah, good.
folks at home, I'm not saying Karate Kid franchise is as good as Creed franchise. I'm just saying like in terms of
Yeah.
like narrative, like on a narrative comparison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like in Karate Kid 3, obviously he gets whooped by this guy who, was hired by one of Kreese's friends. In the
Mm-hmm.
second movie, he faced off in a death match
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah,
middle of the ceremony.
yeah,
Like why wouldn't you have that death match? You know what I mean? Like stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, I think
Well,
so.
I think it's also because some filmmakers might not expect there to be a third. That
Yeah.
might explain it because I don't understand why we saw what we saw in Creed 2.
Oh my.
That seemed like it would have been like a bow at the end type of story.
So I thought that too. I was because as soon as they got out the theater, I said this is better than Creed 1.
Mm-hmm.
It, it might easily.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ryan Coogler did a fantastic job in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, oh my god, what was this? Stephen Capel, I think his name is
I'm
Stephen
not
Capel
sure.
Jr. The director. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name or said your last name. Um, that dude can correct, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Those shots he was doing in
No, it was
those in his
phenomenal.
training where like I
Yeah.
remember this one shot like he was like drawing like the huge ball or whatever
Mm-hmm.
pause, and he was like like the camera was like alternating back and forth
Yeah.
like due to
Yeah.
reflections.
Yeah.
And also the story I thought was amazing, and to make Ivan Drago um sympathetic and multi-dimensional instead of like this
Mm-hmm.
stereotypical Russian
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I would never doubt the guy from Rocky 4 would have been like a really compelling character,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So, anyways, I say all that. Um, yeah, I think I do agree with you. I think sequels are probably harder. Um, because you sort of have to question like, are the studios or filmmakers doing this for the sake of money, or are they actually doing this because there is a story to tell?
Right.
Right. And I think prequels, like you said before, sort of have that luxury of explaining away certain things, but in a lot of cases maybe just leaving stuff up to the interpretation of the audience is better too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's some things you just should never explain and
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
be the center of discussion for years to come,
Which
you
is
know
why I don't understand why Matrix Resurrections went the angle that they went.
That's a great movie. I think compared
Because
to it's better than the first. um
because you go from the angle of like this is real life to the fourth one now explaining this is a video game. Why?
Bullet time.
Like I agree. Certain things should just be left alone.
Yeah.
You know, stop trying to force something. Especially when this was a film that, you know,
It's something you hold near and dear to your heart. I mean, that's your movie, The
got,
Matrix.
The Matrix is what got me into filmmaking, bro. Like the whole trilogy just engulfed me. in a way that I never like no other film did to make me, want to go into a specific industry.
Yeah.
Uh so when you go from that type of dynamic to then making a mockery out of what was,
Disappoints you,
ah,
makes you disgusted.
God, I, ah, you know what? Also, speaking of the John Wick series, right? Like those have been getting better as time goes. Like,
Yeah. Their one was dope. I watched that with my mom. I had to go to the theaters with me, and she was like, "Oh," like doing all that.
the choreography
Um,
was phenomenal,
oh yeah, no,
right?
she loved it. She loved it.
With
And she's a huge dog person too, because we had a German Shepherd growing up, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
she was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, get him, get him,"
Yeah. See, but
Um,
that's why I don't understand why Matrix Resurrections was so lackluster in choreography, because if you had just gotten that same choreographer, like Keanu Reeves would look phenomenal in that film.
they're just
He literally looked old.
so I've never watched it before. I've only heard stuff my friend has said, like I told you in the
Mhm,
past. So
mhm.
um, I'm trying to remember, but I'm not well, can't remember anything because I haven't watched it. But I guess my leading suspicion would be like they just wanted to be different for the sake of being different, because I heard the movie is very meta. Like there's scenes where it shows like original clips from the Matrix and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah,
There's a
most
scene
definitely.
where like Neil Patrick Harris calls bullet time, and he just like goes in like an expositional rant explaining it away and stuff. There's another scene where like um oh god, I'm trying to remember. I forgot. What wasn't there like another really goofy scene?
Take your pick. I mean,
Um.
I thought the last
Oh.
scene was goofy.
Oh, the one where they were just like flying, where they just like flew away or whatever, or like the scene where Keanu Reeves goes, "No, it can't be." Like, yeah,
Yeah, when Agent Smith came into the picture. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not I think this is also another reason why I think independent films should get more shine, right? Because
so you don't see shit,
yeah,
for lack of a better expression.
no,
Sorry,
for
but
sure. No, that is completely, because if you're looking at these films that are one-offs that are phenomenal, and then you have these filmmakers that are independent filmmakers that are doing significantly better than what's in Hollywood, why are those independent films not being showcased on a broader stage?
I know it's
You
it's
know what I'm
frustrating.
saying?
Oh yeah,
It just it that doesn't matter. So I think we could have more success with films in general and sequels if you allow more voices into the room, and different perspectives, right? It's just I
yeah,
think we're now moving into a time where I don't think the way that technology is going, I'm willing to bet that the very same thing you're seeing with the music industry, where labels are less in control, I think we're going to start seeing that with studios. I think we're going to start seeing more independent filmmakers rise up into the void and get, seen, and their stuff is you go through the festivals, of course, but I think it's because of the way streaming is set up now, more independent films can be showcased to the point where it allows those filmmakers to go circumvent the studios and go right into it. So I think we're going to see more
yeah,
independent films that have significantly better sequels than the Hollywood stuff.
yeah. I think that'll be a long time before
Oh, it's gonna be a very long
it
time.
would be a very long time. I think
Yeah,
you know, that's always a possibility. I think I obviously have no evidence to support this, and this will probably require, years worth of of research to even support such a claim. But I also think that like franchises are going to be non-existent within the next 2 decades. I really do. I think
really.
audiences are gonna catch on at some point. Um, and I say franchises in a sense of like I don't see. I'm generalizing here, but I don't think many are going to be able to like continue. I don't
Well,
think a
yeah,
lot of them are going to,
our
on
favorite
their
Fast and
trajectory.
Furious.
Like Fast and Furious is going to end at some point.
It's got
Marvel
to.
is going to, I put closer on end, right? Because you can still find ways to bring them back, and things like that. But I think audiences are starting to, I think audiences will start to adapt, right? And I think there will be a stronger, appetite for, um, just smaller independent films,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like you said before, if there are sequels and things of that nature, it'll be done on a very like small scale. And I also think too that like independent films, should you support them? I mean, they often don't require a ton of money. I mean, a lot of the times filmmakers are just scraping by. They're just, doing the best they can with the resources they can. A lot of actors are, willing to take major pay reductions in their traditional rate just because they want to be able to work with somebody who, has something to say, who has a story that's worth telling, you know.
I'm willing to bet that Apple TV is going to be one of the bigger platforms we see more independent films on.
I have to agree. I think Apple TV
I'm willing to bet that.
it's taken because what I respect so much about it is, it's not Apple TV original for nothing, right? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
I really think they're
Yeah.
making some like original and creative content. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm assuming a lot of their stuff coming out is going to be true stories and
Yeah, yeah,
things
yeah,
like that. But
yeah.
there's something about the budget they give these shows, and obviously it's because they sell billions of dollars worth of Apple products a year and
The
everything, and they're
same
coming out
product
with the next
every year.
iPhone,
Yeah.
15, 16 or something like that. But I have to agree. I think something like HBO Max. You know what? I think here's why. I feel like we live in an era where there's just too much to watch. I think
Right,
people sort
right.
of just like. I think a lot of people like that's why people are more prone to go towards like a Marvel or DC type of thing, right? I
Mm,
think when you're just oversaturating their market with those kinds of movies and those kinds of TV shows, I think people are gonna. That's why I think say like franchise and stuff are gonna be almost non-existent because people once they start getting older, like, dang, I've been watching the same stuff all these years. Like, is there anything else?
mm-hmm,
And then they keep scrolling through. Oh my god, it's like it's just nothing but action, but action, but action. You look
mm-hmm,
at Apple TV, and they really sort of like, you know, make their original content like a point of emphasis and
mm-hmm,
maybe had different options for renting or just outright purchasing different movies and TV shows,
mm-hmm.
I think you're going to have a lot of success with that.
Yeah.
And I know Apple TV at this point in time isn't that huge streaming service yet,
It's only
but it's
been
only a
out for
matter of
3
time.
years.
It's only a matter of time.
It's only been out for 3 years, and I've finished Jason Momoa series C on there. Um, only 3 seasons of it, bro. But my God,
Yeah, but, I
my
actually
God,
it was crazy. I watched the first season.
did
I
you?
No, it wasn't good.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I'm joking. I haven't watched it.
Oh, I'm about to say what? Because I thought the choreography in that was that's just as good as Daredevil, the series.
I remember you telling me that. That's what I gotta pick up on, but
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry again. I know I've freaking
Nah, you
run my
good, man.
mouth all the time. So
Yeah, no, you good, you good. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna discuss our feature presentation, which is 2022 HBO film Barbarian. So we'll be right back.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Dwayne from Past the Ox and Life's a Botch podcast. I'm coming to you with a real dope advertisement if you got a moment. Can we do that? Peep this. Yo, you tired of that uncomfortable feeling with your undergarments? You know what I'm talking about. Like, literally having to adjust so it gets real comfortable in between the real safe space. Or maybe just wedgies from just going underneath, you know what I mean? All that. Let's keep it in 100. Y'all know how I'm feeling. Y'all know how that feeling goes. Well, I want to introduce to you the ultimate solution coming from the #1 premium and fit athletic wear just for you. I'm talking about none other than Champ #1 Boxers. Champ #1 Boxers is a black-owned underwear brand, okay? They literally specify in giving you the most top-notch, high-quality, premium adjustable and fittable and totally comfortable undergarment wear that is just for you. Not only is it something that you can wear, feel good in, feel confident in, and love, but it's also high quality, feels good, and most importantly, it is definitely fashionable. Okay, comes in a different wide variety of so many different styles and themes to these undergarments, something to make you look good, feel good, and swag real good in the process. All right, so again, did I get to mention that this is also a black owned brand? It's a black owned brand, y'all, so if nothing else, definitely go support that 100%. So what I want to do is I want to tell you, head on over to OTS Media Co. on all social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. If you go over, you click the link in the bios, it'll take you straight to the Champ Number One Boxers website. You can check out all their styles, you can check out their bundle deals, you can check out why this brand exists, what it's all about, and trust me when I say you do not want to miss out on the types of opportunities going on right now on the site. Champ Number One Boxers. Make sure you do it for the champ in your life if you ain't already doing it for yourself, champ. All right? Champ Number One Boxers. Make sure you go cop those. All right? All right.
Hey, what's going on, guys? We are back for our feature presentation, Barbarian. It is currently available on HBO Max. It is about a girl who, rents out an Airbnb and comes across an unexpected man who also rented the same Airbnb. That synopsis probably isn't enough to describe what you'll experience when watching this movie. But it was definitely a huge surprise on my part. I didn't watch any marketing pertaining to it. I heard from a great account over Instagram that this was something to check out. And because it's the Halloween season,
Yeah.
why not dip our toes? This is a horror movie, so we're looking forward to talking about it. I'm sure there's a lot to sort of digest. No pun intended. And yeah, so Derrick, what'd you think?
So, I don't watch trailers.
Yeah.
So when you suggested this, after we did our last episode, I was like, yeah, I'm with it, man. And then someone else said something on Twitter about it being one of the like there were so many twists and turns in this horror film. I'm like, oh, bet. So I got Mariah to watch with me last night. I don't even know how to describe what we looked like after the movie was over. I was shocked. I because okay, what's his name? Bill Scars. I don't know how to pronounce his
Bill
last name.
Skarsgård, yeah.
Skarsgård. When I saw that he was in the movie, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good, and he's gonna do like I. It's weird because like you have preconceived notions about specific actors
Yeah.
and like their characters. Like I see what's about to happen here, right? That was my whole thought process. I didn't know, like I didn't know. I did not know. I did not know what I was getting myself into with this movie, man. This is different. This is different. And because it's Halloween season, like and of course, everybody's watching this right now. This is out on Halloween. So that was my whole thought process, like, oh, this is gonna be a good scare, right? And I jumped a couple times. I'm not gonna lie. I jumped a couple of times. I just don't know what to think about this movie, bro. I was so put off.
Yeah.
I was so put off. I mean, if the reports of people not putting cameras in like air vents and stuff like that in these Airbnbs does not make you sit there and say, you know what, I don't really want to rent an Airbnb. This movie will definitely do that. You will not want to rent an Airbnb after watching this movie.
Yeah, I think Let me start off by saying I had no idea what this film was.
Yeah,
I originally, to my knowledge, I think the marketing did a good job of not really presenting what the movie was actually about.
yeah.
So I had no idea if this was going to be a traditional monster movie or this traditional slasher movie. And so going into it, I think what this film does such a great job of is not only building tension, but
Hmm.
also drawing in those twists and turns. Because
Yes.
going into the film, I originally anticipated, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
of course, Bill Skarsgård's character is probably someone who abducts young women, and obviously seeing all the cages and so forth. But then turns out he's just this very socially awkward um, person who meets a very dismal fate. And I think like the first half of the film is very suspenseful. Obviously, it's
Hmm.
carried by some great camera work
Oh
and
man.
cues. There are two particular shots where um, one the main character gets locked in the basement, and it
Mm-hmm.
quickly zooms in on her phone, and then zooms in on the lockbox outside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think there were like a few um, not tracking shots, but or I guess tracking shots. I'll give an example. If the camera position like this and it turns this way,
Just tracking.
okay? So just want to make sure he's
Yeah. I mean, well, that's.
right
I
turn.
mean, technically, if it's just pivoting like that, that's a pan.
Pa- Pan shot.
So
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
tracking is when they're
Follows
actually
a
the camera's actually moving. So if it's like on a dolly, it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
literally going as a person's walking. So that's
Yeah, yeah.
tracking.
She usually has
Yeah.
like a figure of interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously like a few pan shots that worked effectively. And there are actually like a few instances of handheld. And I'm not usually a huge fan
Oh,
of that. That
I
was
know what shot you about to talk
which
about.
I think there's one. There were two that really like freaked me out. Um, Spoiler alert, but there's a Justin Long plays this very narcissistic, um, deplorable person. And there's a shot where he was holding a flashlight in his hand and a knife in his other hand, and it had a quick handheld,
Yeah.
and then zoomed back, and then all you saw was like the I think you saw like a bit of the figure like moving towards him, and then there was another shot later where he ended up taking off, and the flashlight was flickering, and all you
Mm-hmm.
saw was her getting like closer and
Mm-hmm.
closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain to you who that her is, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll explain to you who that her is
Yeah.
in a few moments. But um, just yeah, yeah,
Yeah. My favorite shot was when the old man is coming out the house and he's walking to his car and he walks past the camera, opens the door, and as he's getting into the car, the camera is placed in the back seat right behind him.
yeah,
Which I explained that to Mariah while we were watching it. It's like that's those those like continuous shots, whereas like there's no cut. Those are some of my favorites
yeah,
with film in general because there's one movie Children of Men where there's like a extremely
yeah,
long one shot that just was phenomenal, right?
yeah,
But like those one shots are just they're amazing to me. So I think like cinematically, like when you're talking about their shots in this film, it does everything it's supposed to do. Build that tension, make you anxious, um, um, make you jump a couple of times. Like that part right before Keith died, like they were in that tunnel,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden you see him crawling. I was like, oh, like it it made me jump. I was like, I was impressed. Like I didn't expect for him
yeah.
to be crawling like that, right?
So I really thought that was a monster at first.
Right. That's what I thought.
I was like, oh my gosh. I was like,
Yeah.
thank goodness. And then
Yeah.
I was like, when's she gonna pop out? And then out of it, that's what I love too. Like this is like the slight gripe. I'm not like at all discrediting, um, how they built up the scares. I really, really hate when they put in those noises
Mm.
for jump scares. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
hated that.
Yeah.
because it just ruins it. I feel like they just let those scares happen naturally,
Yeah.
like in real life. But that's just like a minor gripe. It's nothing that ruined the film. But
Yeah.
I say anyways, like when she jumped out, so because I had my dog upstairs. She was laying on the bed, and
Mm.
she was sort of like watching the movie because there were like like certain noises that were like attracting her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when she dumped out, she like she like jumped back like this or whatever, and she was like staring. Um, and then obviously like the mother obviously is who the it is,
Yeah.
she is, and brutally slams his head on the wall. And then I was like, "Oh my goodness, you look disgusting!" But you could tell that was practical. I'm assuming that was practical. Um,
What?
the monster, the mother. I'm assuming she was practical
In terms of what, makeup or?
in terms of like the makeup. I could tell like that was a practical
Yeah.
person, which is cool. I mean, I think a lot of I think like some of her like exaggerated movements probably CG.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just make
Yeah.
it like
That's
easier
exact.
and stuff
Yeah.
because like there's only so much
Yeah.
you can do in prosthetics.
Yeah.
That's my assumption, but yeah.
I,
I mean,
I
what else is there to discuss? I know. I'm sorry. You go right ahead.
well, okay, so like this is my biggest gripe with horror films. Um, I don't like when the main character or one of the other characters does something explicit explicably stupid, right? You see doors opening on their own. Okay, going to the basement. I'm not actually not mad at that. You want to check and see what your surroundings are, right? But when you find that there's a rope in the wall and you start pulling on said rope and the concrete wall opens up, why the hell would you go in? Because the first thing when the door opened, her first thing was like she sit there and looked into the camera, was like, nope.
Then proceed. Yeah. Then
And when it
proceeded
goes
to
to the
walk down. And
down the
yeah.
stairs. But then she got this bright idea to flash light down into the darkness,
Which is a smarter
which
decision
was smart.
in fairness, but
Yeah, no,
again,
no, for her to stand there and look, like kind of like do that, cool, got you. But you propped it up, you propped the mirror up, and proceeded to walk down the hall where you see a camera, a bed, and a bucket. Why would you continue to? Why? Just
yo,
why?
I'm out the house. I'm not even explaining. I'm like, yo,
I'm.
I'm packing my shit. I'm out.
There's nothing to explain.
I'm bouncing.
There's nothing to explain. But before, like even before that, she sees a dude running toward her as she gets out the truck. She goes toward the house to get the key out the lockbox before he can come into the house, right? Why would you not just get into your truck and leave? It's I get why you have to do certain things in horror films to
Yeah.
progress the story and to get the characters to go to said spot,
Not
whatever.
yeah. And
But,
not
but come on.
yeah, not only that, but the way like because I think that was the same man who saved her later.
It was, yeah.
Why are you charging at her in broad daylight? Like you can just say, "Wait, excuse me, ma'am."
Yeah.
Don't chase like you can explain. It's like, "Ma'am, you don't want to go in there. Like I heard like there's actually something terrible.
Yes.
Please don't go in. Get to safety."
But
She
even
is a woman, okay,
right. Right.
who sees a man charging at her
In Detroit.
in
In a
Detroit.
rundown neighborhood in Detroit.
She's sure as hell gonna run from you.
Yes.
Just state your business. Just say, "Excuse me, ma'am." Act as if you need help or whatnot.
Yes.
And then she walks away. She walks away, and then maybe try knocking on the door and say, "Excuse me, ma'am. I need to like tell you something, please. Like I need you to exit home right now."
Yeah.
State yourself calmly. But obviously, they do, like you said before, they have to progress the plot somehow.
But
You
that's the
know,
thing that annoys me with horror films. Because not only did she go down to the basement, all that stuff happened to her, she escaped, right? she went back 2 different times after her initial time going down there.
Yeah, to save Keith, and then yeah, do I?
And then to save
I
the
would have
other
been out.
guy
Yeah,
that went down.
I would have been out.
Why? What? Just why? Why? I don't. That's the thing. I don't. That's why like horror films to me, like they're good for the scares, right? But for the plot development, they're usually not good.
Yeah, because you always have to find reasons for
Stupid reasons too. Not even like legit
yeah
reasons. Just stupid reasons.
something.
You just met Keith, but you're gonna cry out to him the whole time. Keep going after. I'm not going after you, bro. I told you what it was, what I saw. You decided to go down there.
No, I'll
That's
tell
on
you this
you.
much. Like naturally I'll scream out for help, but I think right before my death I'll just say, "Yo, you better have taken off
Run,
because I'm dead."
run.
So,
But here's the thing.
yeah,
Why the very beginning of the movie, you get Airbnbs scheduled at the same time, same day,
yeah,
right? Why would you stay?
I,
Why?
I'm just trying. I'm finding a hotel, no, a motel
Why? Why?
in the movie. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like those specific points in the plot never make sense to me. I don't care. Like usually, is not many horror films actually execute properly,
I
right?
I also find it difficult that despite a convention going on, you're telling me there's just not at least like like one nearby motel. I mean, I don't
Simple.
know the Detroit area, obviously, because I'm not from there. You're obviously not from there or anything. So
Yeah,
obviously, if you're a citizen of Detroit, let us know. But like, I'm assuming there are a fair share of just basic motels around. You don't necessarily have to get like an all-star hotel to spend the night. Find one decent close to the city. And if you don't, because you had to go for the job interview, if it's 3 hours, well, obviously, well, I guess I can understand her wanting to stay, right? Because then she'd have to travel long distances. But I don't know. I just feel like that was more convenient. Like, really, a
nah,
convention happened that same day, and you can't find a hotel.
bro. I'm telling you right now.
Most hotels are probably squeeze a person in too. If it's just one person, I find it
I'm not.
impossible for them not to have every single room filled up.
I'm not. As a guy, I'm not staying with someone I don't know.
Yeah,
Let alone a woman
yeah,
being with a guy that she doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
no. That just doesn't make any sense, right? Um, I think the horror genre can do significantly better. Like these little points in plot that are weak can be significantly better if they try. If they just try to just make these plots realistic.
yeah, yeah. Something that I actually do want to ask you is, how did you feel about the tone shift
I
going into the
hated it.
second half?
I hated it.
Was it a bit too jarring for you? Like,
Nah, it seemed like because the beginning of the first half of the movie was right there on point. Like, yeah, I had problems with certain things, but I was like, okay, like this pace, this, everything right here, I'm feeling it. And then you switch to this second half of the movie, a story
it's
where
like a
it's just like,
protagonist.
yeah, it's just like, it
I,
was
I would.
lackluster in my
You
opinion.
felt it was worse than the first half.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was fine with it. I think it made sense why it took that comedic shift because of Justin Long, obviously, and just the nature of who his character is, right? And I think they really did a good job of like honing in on you know what's supposed to be serious.
yeah.
Obviously, because he's not gonna start like saying a bunch of one-liners when he's getting chased by this monster, um,
But
and stuff
didn't
like
did
that.
it
But
need comedy though? Because I
I
felt
was
like
I was fine with it. This is like the fuse, like what we saw at that point. I can understand. I think they did a good job of juggling the tones.
I actually
Um,
felt like I would have liked seeing Justin Long as Keith and Bill Skarsgård as what's his name, AJ.
just like like basically out of not typecasted or something. That's what I thought was gonna be. I thought so. My thing going into the movie was I thought like Justin Long was gonna be like this weird cannibal who had like a huge like a cult underneath the Airbnb or something, and they were doing like human
Right,
sacrifices. Because
right,
once I
right.
saw the cages, I said, oh, I can guarantee you, like, very obvious. Maybe they just have humans in there, and they're just
Mm-hmm.
like forced to, eat food out of it. You know what I mean? Very few
Mm-hmm.
food that they get. You know what I mean? Treating them like
Yeah.
animals before they're killed off. Um, but that's also the great compliment of the film, right? Is just we had no idea what to expect going in. And
I had no expectations for this movie.
yeah, I think it was really cool. I will say it was a really cool movie. And I also think that, like, going a bit more in depth about the mother real quick. Do you think they handled, like, her exposition fairly well? Like, did you understand, like, what uh like how she was created, or like what her purpose was and
Yeah.
stuff? Or is it
Okay,
kind
so
of like a bit confusing? Because I had to think about it for a bit after I watched it, just to I didn't want to look it up online. I kind of wanted to figure it out on my own. But I was curious what your thoughts were. Did you understand, like,
I
what her
I
purpose
understand
was?
I understood what they were saying with it, but like at the same time, the time frame of it doesn't make sense because if I'm not mistaken, the the homeless guy was explaining it as he was living there and he had kids that he had kids from those kids. Is that what am I
Yep.
saying that correctly?
Hmm.
He had kids with his kids. The the time span doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'm also a bit confused with, like, who the mother is. Like, is the mother just
That was another aspect of it that I was
like,
confused by. Because it wasn't the lady that he went to that house of service, like acting as if he was checking on her energy and then
well, I thought I
kidnapped
was
her.
under the impression that the monster already existed, because you remember how you saw her unlock the door, or unlock the window. He unlocked it
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and stuff. The
yeah,
confusing part for me is that the old man also went. She only comes out at night, and when we see him
yeah.
enter the home, it was daytime. So how did she get kidnapped? Because we heard screaming, so it's very obvious that she was kidnapped. So why did she go against her regular routine then? I'm
I
assuming
don't
something
I don't
happened in
know.
that 40 time span, and then with kids and stuff, what happened to the kids?
That's where I was confused.
I'm assuming they died off, and maybe she's just been in that, and she's just that's why the video wasn't looped. It was basically like how to treat babies, or whatever. And I'm assuming she was just like in need of them.
I
I'm just
don't
I'm
know.
just I'm just really confused, because I feel like
I
someone
don't
would
know.
discover that as well, and
That
like,
that threw me way off because I was so confused as to the time frame of
yeah,
things and like you said, where the other kids.
I'm assuming they
And
all
then
died off.
also the guy that saved Tess,
Yeah.
he told her she's down there, but she's not even the worst thing that's there. So I was under the impression that there was another creature down there. It ended up being the old guy. So I'm assuming that he meant that in terms of like how
Well,
bad that guy was,
yeah, that's why I thought too.
right? Um, but it was one of those things I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what like to expect because we didn't even see what was on those tapes, right? The AJ pushed the tape into the VCR and he's just like he got grossed out and started cussing the guy out and everything like that.
I'm also fascinated by how, like, that VHS tape was able to, because
Hold
I feel
up
like
over the years.
hold up over the years, because, like,
Yeah.
just me being stupid, but I also feel like the mother um is probably watching that video on loop. Like that TV looked turned on for a while,
Yeah,
right?
but I would
But I don't know, maybe because, like, Tess entering the thing, like maybe she was in the middle of watching it again or something, and then she
yeah.
obviously heard the noises, because I'm assuming there's a way of her tracking her victims, I guess. Um, or well, technically, Keith's definitely a victim of murder,
Oh,
but
he's a
victims
murderer.
in terms of, like, obviously the mother, like, it just has this weird obsession with people because he views them as her children.
Yeah.
Um, and stuff. So that's sort of what my main issue with the film. I think it poses a lot of questions that are just left unanswered. And like I said,
Mhm.
just like I was saying even in before too, I forgot how we got to that, but some things are left up should be left up to the interpretation of the audience. But I think in this case, maybe a bit more explaining could have helped, because
Yes.
I just don't know what the relationship with the mother is.
I don't either.
I don't know
I
how
don't
she
either.
was in it, because I think I looked up the ending again. The ending was actually really dope, though. I will say that was a good ending. Um,
Ah, I don't know. That ending kind of threw me off too, because how did
yeah.
how did AJ push Tess off the top of the water tower? The mother jumps down after her and got underneath her.
Yeah.
How? How did that all happen in that time? That split second?
Oh, okay. Never mind. So when the man grabbed, so the mother was the child,
Yeah,
but then how was she kidnapped
she
though?
she was hit that old man's child.
Right, but how did that woman get kidnapped?
That's what I'm saying. I'm
That's what
assuming.
I'm confused. That's why like I'm
That's
so
why I'm
yeah.
assuming it's that woman that he went to her house and service, quote unquote service to unlock her window. I'm just assuming he kidnapped her and had kids with her and had kids with his kids and just started breeding like that. That's the only assumption that I had because everything else made no sense.
And something, sorry about that. I just went to a comment section on like a any explained video, and this is actually a good question someone brought up. It's from probably like a funny name. It's from Teasball 713. I don't know
Yeah,
who they are. Just their YouTube account on, I don't know who they are, but they even posed a good question too. And he said he or she or they said this, right. Are we just going to skip over the fact this house had multiple websites renting it out? Why was this house the only well-maintained house? Have other renters gone missing and the maids to steal their shit? You're telling me no one else at all has discovered the damn rope sticking out in the wall in 40 years of renovating, cleaning, maintaining, and restocking the home? The more I think about it, the less it makes sense. Yeah, that's actually a point to bring up. You told me no one came across that. Like, you're telling me like all these appearances. You're telling me that not one person like has saw that rope sticking out.
bro.
Especially in renovating, because you renovate, you have to look over all over the house and figure out what the
Not
hell you're gonna
not
do.
not only that, but you have to like if you have a how do you have a tunnel built under the ground like that? How does that take place? Did the old man do that?
That's a good. I'm assuming
Because that's
the
just a long time to do something like
yeah.
that.
And
That's just
I'm
a
sorry.
very long time.
Yeah, and I'm sorry by the way. I'm just sort of like scrolling through to see if maybe
No,
someone answered the question. I don't believe the door was locked.
but there's a lot to be said here for this movie that it's like I finished the movie and I was more confused than when I started. So I don't know how to fully feel about this movie outside of I think there were definitely good moments in it. I think from a cinematography perspective, there were great shots, but at the end of the day, I think it just does what a lot of horror films do, which is just tries to scare you and doesn't try to put out a quality story in the midst of a scare.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I would like to have a high quality story attached to scares. Um, I, that's all I can say about this. I I don't know. I if I'm rating this movie, 2.5 stubs,
yeah. I'm just trying to figure that because
two actually.
I'm probably gonna like watch it, like watch this video at some point. I'm just trying to figure out who the hell kidnap the woman? Because if the child
The
is the
old
monster,
man has to.
so right, but here's my confusion, right? So when I saw him pick up the baby formula, I said, "Oh, the mother is a child." Sorry, not the we know what I mean. I just call it a mother. The mother is a child. Oh, okay. And I said, "Wait a minute, it doesn't make any sense though, because if she's a child, right?
I see what you're saying.
Who did he have
I see what you're saying.
her with?"
So
So unless he, I mean, maybe this is me out of interpretation. Unless he had others who were doing these despicable things to women, like I don't see who kidnapped the woman.
so he must have had more than one woman down there. Kidnapped, rather.
Perhaps. But then what did
Because
he
you're
do with?
right. He did
Yeah.
there was one woman that was already in the house screaming. And um
So unless he
it
has another, yeah, I think
it,
you're right.
it didn't show that that other lady was kidnapped yet.
But then,
We didn't see that. We
and then
saw him go unlock her window, go back
for the
home,
nighttime, yeah, and then we heard a
and
woman scream. So it's not the same
yeah,
woman.
so it's not the
Okay.
same woman that's
But
there. So
but but then the confusing part too is that the mother obviously is confirmed to have gone out into the night, right? The mother is a child, like a literal baby to this point. Who's going out kidnapping women? That still isn't answered. You seem like
I'm just assuming
confusing.
he's the one that's going out kidnapping women and bringing them back. Yeah,
Okay, that
yeah.
makes sense.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, you're
Um,
right. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. It was kind of just confusing to me, like the continuity and stuff.
no, but
I'm sorry about that.
that's my point about these movies.
That's on me though. I'm not gonna
No,
fault
but
the film for that. That was
no,
just
but that's my point about these movies though. Is like is there's so many holes that are left because they want to scare, right? And it's not a quality story being told with the without holes. I need a quality horror film that scares me, but the story is phenomenal. Like Paranormal Activity was like that for me. I thought the story was well done. I thought, especially shooting on a small budget as they did, everything was just phenomenal. Right? High quality scare. That was a high quality scare. That movie scared me for the longest time.
yeah.
But we don't have movies like that anymore. We don't have it's always everything is always supernatural in terms of the fear aspect.
It also seemed like the child was afraid of the father,
She was,
which
because
is
you saw when
understandable.
he went to go open that door,
He was like
she
backing
backed
away.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think also you kind of like feel, obviously I don't condone her brutal
yeah, yeah.
killings, but you also have to feel sympathy for a bit. I mean, she was forced into inbreeding, at a young age. I mean, we don't know how young, and
I,
it's.
I,
I think the barbarian. I think it's very obvious that the barbarian isn't the monster, but the man.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I don't know. I think I appreciate you obviously having a discussion because a lot of this I didn't really take into account. I thought,
yeah.
yeah, I guess to give my sorry, I apologize. I kind of went
Nah,
on
you good, you good.
and on and on, but I'll give it a 3. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of like illogical, you know, decisions that were made. Far too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the time that I spent for him, for that old man to dig his way, like he must have been digging well before we saw him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's what I'm saying. But how
Um,
do you do that and maintain a full-time job to be able to afford that house to dig that tunnel? You see what I'm saying? Like none of that makes sense to me.
yeah.
None of that makes sense to me. Like at least explain that the house was built on top of old tunnels or something like that. Okay.
I think maybe this probably would have done away. Maybe honestly, this is just my opinion. I think they should have just never, as much as how well shot the flashback was, like to the 70s. I think it might have just been better off not showing it.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Like, do you think you're
Yeah,
better off just like not showing it and just
yeah,
have us think, oh wow, like how long has she actually been alive, and then and things
yeah.
like that. I think that probably would have been a bit better, or just have honest. Well, no, because I do like the addition to Old Man because it really reinforces this theme of the worst kinds of monsters being human,
Hmm.
right? So that's a really good theme, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
to bring it to a movie. But yeah, I'll probably say 2 or 3. I'm with you there. It was a lot of like weird shit.
yeah.
A bit of dumb shit, but I think the director did a great job nonetheless in terms of crafting together some horror sequences. And never thought I'd see a grown man get breastfed. Not joking around, that scene was actually like the most disturbing in the movie.
Bro, I was
um
literally sitting. I was like, "That's a old, wrinkled, dirty nipple that's going in that man's mouth."
Jesus, yeah,
Oh my god,
yeah, I mean,
that is
yeah,
disgusting.
I know, I
I was
know.
looking at it from a germaphobe perspective, bro. That terrified me. That part, that
Yeah.
was, oof.
There's also, yeah, I will say there was another great scene. Yeah, so I'll stick with the 3. Probably, yeah, I'll stick with the 3. Stick with the 3. But there's another, obviously, like the last thing I want to say is like there was a great scene of like when he's refusing to drink from the bottle,
Mm,
and I think it went handheld. When she jumped down and she went like up close and personal.
yeah,
Those are
yeah,
some really great shots. Like,
yeah.
uh,
No,
yeah, I
they
just think
really
of the
were.
I think if the story were just improved a bit, then it could have been something special.
No, the
I think it's
story
a
needed to be
bit too
improved a lot.
overpraised, in my opinion. But I think at the
Yeah,
same time, that's the beauty of films, right? None of us are gonna have the same opinion, and
yeah.
having these kind of conversations is a lot I would have never thought about. I was ready to get this movie a 4, to be honest with you. If I didn't have this talk with you, I probably would
Yeah,
have stuck with that original rating, and I went down to a 3
yeah,
because of that. And it's good,
yeah,
it's good to
yeah.
make you think about what you watch. So
Most definitely,
yeah, I'm gonna
most
shut my
definitely.
mouth now. You go ahead and you do
Nah,
your
you
thing.
good, bro. You good, bro. You good. But yeah, let's go ahead and give everybody social media handles, bro. Let's get on up out of here.
Yeah, it's gonna be Matt underscore T29. Same deal. If you want to ever hop on this podcast or some of the other podcasts, feel free to reach out to me. I can get you connected, to the hosts who, run these various shows on the OTS platform. As always, thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you another episode in the coming week or two.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you can follow me at Derrick underscore OTS. That's DERRICK, black way to spell it. But more so importantly, please follow the brand at OTS Media Co. All social media platforms. OTS Media on YouTube. If you have not done so, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Stay up to date with what we're posting. We thank you guys for watching and or listening, and we will catch you guys on the next episode, which will be out. It's gonna look. We ain't taking no. We ain't look this season. We're not. We're
No
not
more
taking any.
hiatuses.
Nope. This season we're gonna do it the right way. So
Oh yeah.
we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace,
Peace.
guys.